Hello friends, today we are going to talk about welding of thin sheets in aerospace. As you know, because of the weight considerations, uh, thickness of the plates in aerospace are normally very less as compared to any other fabrication or the welding is being deployed. For example, most of our thicknesses will be between 0.6 millimeters to about 7 millimeters, and rarely it will go beyond 10 millimeters. There could be a chance of even lower thickness than the zero point 0.6. Now, we have studied in earlier videos that each material has its own properties, behavior. We are not going to go back once again to that, but what we should remember is that there are certain alloys like we identified as aluminum, titanium, which are requires a special attention, and if that is coupled with a lower thickness, then it is going to become little more further complex. And that is why what we are going to understand or learn in this particular video. When thin thickness is there, then what happens is the material as such doesn't have its own strength. We are going to carry out a lot of forming, machining or welding in these thin sheets. If anything which is in the plate form, that is more than 6 millimeter in thickness, we normally call that as a plate, has its inherent strength, has its inherent stability. But especially the thicknesses which are less than 3 millimeters in thickness doesn't have its own inherent strength. So when we take this material right from sourcing this material, that is their packing, transport, unloading at our place, taking away from the boxes or from the packing material, keeping it into our racks and then releasing it for production. At every stage, these thin sheets are required to be properly supported as they don't have their own strength. And not only they are supported for the bend or any shape which they will take because of improper lifting, but we need to also protect them for any scratches, dents, and especially in case of aluminum we need to be very careful that it is not only a thin sheet but it is also a very light and low hardness material. So any small improper clamping or lifting technique which is being used will create a permanent deformation, or it will have some kind of a foreign object getting impregnated into the matrix. Now this permanent deformation on thin sheets is highly dangerous for subsequent operations and especially for welding, as in these areas there will be a stress concentration, and the stress concentration is going to create problem while we are going to weld it. Now as you know that for any successful welding, whether it is thin sheet or thick sheet, whether it is fillet or butt joint, whether it is lap joint or any other kind of a joint, we need to have a good setup. If the setup is good, if the setup is uniform, then we can ensure that our welding is also going to be uniform. Welding is also going to have a good chance that it will pass through all the entity, and a good setup will also ensure that we are going to have a good control over distortion. So in such cases, we always say that if you want to weld right, you have to set right. But if you have to set right, you have to cut right, or form right, or process the component right. Especially the welding edges, the two of the edges which are either going to come in the form of a butt joint or as a fillet or any other kind of a joint which is going to come, which is combination of a lap and a butt, then in such cases we need to have a lot of care as we understand first that thin sheets will not have its own stability, and even if it is formed, it will have very less stability. It will be little better than the sheet form. It will be little better, but it will not be adequate for it to sustain or support itself, and therefore the parts will have ovality or out of profile, and this is going to create a difficulty in setup. And if the setups are going to be non-uniform, that means the gap is going to have a non-uniform gap, especially in thin sheets less than 3 millimeter, where we aim for absolutely zero gap. We don't want any gap between this thin material. And if we are going to have a gap, the current what we are going to set is going to be on the higher side where there is going to be a gap, and instead of welding, it may have a burn through. It will just cut through like a plasma cutting. The torch, when it is moved, it will start cutting rather than welding. And now if we ask welder to start weaving and put more filler wires so that this gap will start bridging, excessive weld will get deposited there, and this will give a huge shrinkage, and it will have a huge distortion on the part. So if there is a gap, you are likely to get more ovality, because once again, as we said earlier, the thin sheet, whether it is formed, unless and until it is ribbed, which is very rarely we can get such kind of design permissions, or designers will plan for it. So it is going to be a challenge, it is going to be a difficulty for thin sheets, and that is where I separated out this particular video on thin sheet welding. So as we understood, the material doesn't have its own strength. The forming, machining or any other process except for ribbing, it is not going to gain its own strength, so it is not going to retain its shape. So the ovality is going to be there, concentricity is going to be not measurable. And the most important part here is that since it is going to have ovality, since it will be all done on a fixture or on a clamp, measurement of the right diameters, length, many times on the machines is going to be extremely difficult. So we are going to use a lot of our experience, judgment or sometimes skill in machining these parts, in forming these parts and subsequently setting up these parts. If you land up into a little mismatch in thin sheet, it will be extremely difficult to correct it. We need to break the setup and redo it. So how to start? If you are looking for a zero gap, and if you start the first tack with a zero gap to do a setup, as you go further onto your setup, the tacking is also going to pull the two parts together. You will see overlapping of the sheets which is going to happen. So we need to really plan our activities very well. Tacking opposite, every time checking if the concentricity is important by rotating the part and checking the dial readings at least at 8 locations or 12 locations will help us. And that's the way the setup has to be done. In a thick plate, probably you can give a lot of gap between the two tacks, but in thin sheet, first you have to start 0, 180 degree apart the second one, or sometimes you have to start from 0 and go plus 5 degrees, minus 5 degrees, plus 10 degrees, minus 10 degrees, like that you have to keep on doing it. Or sometimes you have to give 4 tacks, rotate it, check whether you have correctly measured the circumferences, you have ensured that the circumferences are matching and there is no mismatch in the circumference. If there is a mismatch in the circumference, as there is a difficulty in cutting it exactly, then you have to forcefully give some kind of a gap, because only that gap, and especially in cones, it becomes absolutely essential. In a circular, you have to give some kind of a gradual taper, but in thick sheets it is possible to give a gradual taper. Thin sheets, how will you give? It's so thin that there is no possibility to give that kind of a grinding or machining on that sheet. It cannot accommodate it, which you can later on fill it up. In 0.6 millimeters and 2 millimeters, what kind of a chamfer or taper you will give it to accommodate that mismatch. So it's going to be a big challenge, and that is what I'm trying to highlight, that unless and until we appreciate that it is going to have a challenge, and that is where right from the first step, from receipt of material to its handling, loading, unloading at every stage, at every machine, measurements of the circumferences, measurements of lengths, straightness of the edge. These are all very critical parts, and we try to do it on a machine, but machine also has a limitations because it doesn't get supported on its own. It requires a fixture. Fixture means you are going to put some force onto it. If that force is removed later on, and if you don't tighten it to the same extent, the same ovality or the same edge or the same flatness of the edge is not going to come. So we need to clearly spelt out these difficulties to the machinist, to the fitter, before we ask the welder. Once you are sure that this has been properly communicated, proper care has been taken, or utmost care has been taken, by which we are able to do the best kind of a cut or best kind of a forming, and then we try to do a good fixturing. That fixturing should allow, as we discussed in our other video, that it should have a lateral movement which is possible. It should not allow the plates to bend, because this is something which is going to make our part or assemblies not to meet the designer's expectation. So fixturing has to be done very, very carefully for all these thin sheets. The thick sheets, you have to take only care in rolling. If you are able to roll with the minimum ovality, it has its own solid. You just bring two 20 thick plates to 20 thick rolled 1 meter 2 meter diameter, and just bring it together. You can do setup very easily, but thin sheets is not going to be that easy. Okay, so that is as far as the cutting and the setup is concerned, why it is so important. Now let us see, for a welder, why thin sheets are going to be very, very important. Now, as we saw, that thicknesses are going to be very less. So even if the melting point is going to be very high, we are going to use very, very less current. The current what we'll be using normally for 0.6 to 3 millimeters or 4 millimeter thickness is going to go from as low as maybe 10-12 amperes to maximum of, let's say, 60 amperes or so. That too when we are going to have a zero gap setup. But if we are going to have a little gap in that, then the current will come drastically down. It will come down to just 5 to 6 amperes from 10 amperes, the lower limit what we said earlier. And from 80 amps it will come down to 50-55 amps. So such a variation in the current for a small gap is going to be very difficult to manage by a welder. Pulsing currents are easier to manage because it is automatically going to pulse. Here you are going to ask welder to using his foot switch to manipulate the current, and such a foot switch coordination when he is already having a filler wire in one hand and the tick torch on the other hand, and there is a helmet, so he is not in a very easy position or in an easy mode to really do it. If he is sitting having a proper hand rest for welding, then it becomes little easy. But if he is standing, if the part shapes, sizes are quite odd, shapes are difficult, then maneuvering current is going to be difficult. Now if it doesn't maneuver, as we said, straight away it's going to have a burn through. If you use a lower current, you are going to have insufficient penetration. Insufficient penetration, if you have fortunately accessibility to go on the back side and do some kind of a back chip and re-weld it. On thick sheets it becomes very easy. On thin sheet, when you are going to have a very low thickness, if you use a grinding wheel at the back of your joint, or if you try to do a machining on this thin materials, it becomes extremely difficult. The grinding force sometimes makes the entire sheet totally red hot. So it's not going to be easy. So our aim is always to achieve in thin sheets single-sided full penetration joint, so that we don't have to touch except for excessive penetration if we land up to be dressed up. Otherwise, leave that penetration also as it is. If the grinder by mistake has not properly controlled his line and doesn't go in one particular way, that means wherever the joint is there and it goes and touches to the side of the plate, the plates are so thin, a grinding wheel rotating at maybe 20-30,000 rpm will just bite into it, and then filling up that is going to be impossible. So we don't want to complicate it further. So our aim is always going to become that when whatever may be the setup, let us identify where there is a gap, where there is a mismatch, where the fixture copper plate is touching, where it is not touching, and then identify those segments and alert welder by a supervisor by or his colleague, or he himself can find out certain indications through his screen where he is supposed to change over to a next level of parameters, either higher current, lower current. But the important difficulty is that when he is going to use a lower current, for arc to have a stability, we require voltage as well as current. Both are required. Just voltage is not sufficient because voltage is going to help you to jump the arc. But the sustenance of the arc is not going to be dependent on voltage. Initiation of arc is dependent on voltage. Sustenance of arc is going to be dependent on current. Now, if the current is not sufficient, then the stability is not going to be there in the welding. As it is thin sheets, all those difficulties, and if the arc is also going to have a variation, then we are going to make a huge impact on it. So welder has to look for it. Then comes, we need to ensure that the argon what we are going to use, or the inert gas what we are going to use on the primary side, that is the side from where we are going to weld, and the secondary side or the root side, should be a properly balanced, the flow and the pressure. The welding material is so thin in thin sheet welding that sometimes excessive gas pressure can give a suck back. Excessive back pressure can give you sometimes a porosity. Even if it is inert, it will just penetrate into that thin welding before it solidifies because of the excessive pressure, and it will give lots of defects into our entity. So balancing of that in a thick sheet, even if you vary your current from 5 liters per minute to 12 liters per minute, it is not going to make any much of an impact, because your currents are going to be higher, your thickness what you are going to deposit is going to be higher. So this small variation between 5 liters per minute to 12 liters per minute is not going to make much of a difference on primary side as well as on the secondary side. But if the same thing happens in a thin sheet, 5 to 12 is going to be a significantly higher flow rates, and it will make surely an impact on your weld profile, suckbacks, porosities, or sometimes even undercuts, because it will just freeze the welding very fast because of the higher flow rate. Argon is not known for a very good conductor of heat, but simply the flow rates are going to make it difficult to sustain that and freeze it faster. So these are some of the important points what welder has to take it, like selection of his current, variation in the current, then adjusting the flow rates, keeping the stability of the arc because of the lower voltage and the lower currents. And the next point is going to be very important for welder is his speed. As we know, the current multiplied by voltage divided by the speed is the heat input. And for thin welding, if the heat input varies beyond plus minus 5%, it is going to create a difficulty for welder, as it is going to have all these defects which we see, the burn through, the suckbacks, the cracks, the porosities. The crackers are very difficult to fill up in thin sheets, because once again we have no material to really build upon. It's all thin, everything is thin, so it is going to be a difficulty. So welder speed becomes very essential and critical. Many times for thin sheets, to control heat input, we are going to ask welder to travel beyond 100 millimeters per minute. It is not a walking. Here he has to hold a torch and maintain the arc length. Also keep on adding filler wire wherever the filler wire additions are required, And in that fashion, when you have to keep on moving at 100 millimeters per minute, you can imagine it's very, very high speed. And for thin sheets, sometimes we even recommend to go 120, 150 millimeters also per minute, which is a significantly higher speeds. And such speeds normally we can achieve it through auto welding. But auto welding is not going to be that easy. Like in manual, we are finding it difficult. In auto, if the setups are not going to be good, which are difficult in thin sheets to do it, it is going to create another set of difficulties or problems for us. So that is where I separated out this particular topic for thin sheets. From material point of view, we have complexity. From shape and requirement point of view, we have a complexity. Most of our welds are going to be single sided, and most of our welds are not accessible from the other side, so that's a problem. Our requirements of porosity or the defects are going to be the percentage of the thickness. So as it is, we are talking about very thin sheets, 0.6 millimeters, or even if you take 3 millimeter. Now in 3 millimeter, a 10% only a rounded indication is acceptable. That is only 0.3 millimeters. In zero point 0.6, it is going to be 0.06 millimeters. So just imagine, I mean, what kind of a care, what kind of a steadiness the welder has to keep it. A slightest non-uniform speed or a variation in the speed or in the flow rate or in the arc length is going to immediately suck back so many other gases from the air, and those are not very friendly gases. They are going to react with our liquid metal. Some of them are going to remain as the solidification happens very fast if the flow rates are higher or lower. And in such cases, then to avoid porosities, undercuts, cracks, craters is going to become difficult. So my suggestion for all such things is that when we are going to have a thin sheets, see to it that welder gets a proper support for his hand. Even if he is very skilled and experienced, for maintaining that uniform arc length is going to be difficult. For welder, try to give as much of comfort by putting him onto a long simmer, or by putting him onto a positioner, or putting him onto a rotator, where the job will rotate at a uniform speed and he is going to have a fixed, he don't have to really go across the curvature. But if you have odd shapes, it's not going to be easy. So at least give him positioner so that he can then take small segments, and every segment he can adjust the best position, which is the down end position, and select 20 millimeter to 50 millimeter to 75 millimeter or maximum 100 millimeter stretch, where he will put his hand and then move it from one end to other end. This is what maximum arc he can do it. And when there is a pivot and he is going to move, it is not going to be a straight line, it is going to be always an arc. So that also we have to remember, that he is not actually moving in a straight line, he is moving in an arc and trying to match that arc with the straight length what we are going to have. So give him as much comfort as possible, give him as much aids, the accessories. We have discussed on the accessories in one of the videos. So look that video once again if required and find out what are all the accessories we can give him. And finally, try to impress upon your colleagues from machine shop, from your fabrication side, to ensure that they cut right, so that we set right, and if we set right, there is a good probability we weld right. And while welding, we should take utmost precaution that we do the segmentation, we decide the set of parameters what we'll be using, we ensure that we do a lot of mock-ups and trials and decide on the strategy for welding. We do a lot of the dial readings and ensure that the concentricity is not maintained. If the concentricity is going out, depending upon the sector which we have welded and where it has distorted, we can select the next sector. The next sector may not be the exactly opposite, it can be just adjacent to you, or it can be opposite, or it can be anywhere else. So I think frequent readings in between till the time we develop the technique fully is going to be very essential. And finally, keep the environment clean, neat, so that the chances of porosity will not be there, which is added because of the bad environment or untidiness or uncleanliness which is in our facilities. Sometimes we don't properly maintain and clean it. Welders should be given proper hand gloves and all the cleaning agents like acetone and good kind of wire brushes which are identified material wise. So this is all will help us in getting a good weld on a thin sheets. So thank you once again for viewing this particular video. I look forward to your suggestions so that this series of welding I'm closing it. And one more is actually I was planning, that was the difference between welding, brazing and soldering, but I don't think we are going to use brazing and soldering to a great extent in aerospace, at least as on date. So whenever the time will come when we are going to do a quite lot of brazing, I will bring that differentiation also and the care in each one of them, how it is to be taken. So thank you once again for watching all these videos. I think so far I have done about 9 welding videos, 2 in Hindi on welder as well as on the fitters, and one I have attempted recently a video on the Indian manufacturing, religious culture and manufacturing on date. So what is the comparison and how we are going to become slaves. So happy viewing. Thank you so much.